Welcome to the Personal Pension Radio Podcast, where you get unconventional insights into wealth building and retirement that actually work. Discover data-driven strategies and learn from a wealth of experience so that you can take your retirement to the next level. Now, here's your host. He was once bitten by a harbor seal, the income engineer, Kraig Strom.
Okay, welcome back to Personal Pension Radio, broadcasting live from Mr. Foley's van down by the Santa Ana River in Norco, California today. Norco being an important place for us here, Personal Pension Radio, myself and my wife. We recently moved our house, so this particular episode is being recorded around the Thanksgiving holiday week and weekend here in the U.S., and that normally involves getting together with family, oftentimes traveling, but most importantly, eating lots of food in quantities and types of food that you don't normally have, and just eating so much that you want to lay on the couch like Jabba the Hutt and watch football. That was not what this Thanksgiving weekend looked like for my wife and I. We were actually moving, and it was 5 days of nonstop sun-up to sundown, move action. And this is the first episode, subsequently, the first episode in quite a while that has not gone out at my normal 7 a.m. Pacific time here on the West Coast. So bear with me. We will stay on track with all future episodes the best we can, but I was just physically wiped out. So if you're new to Personal Pension Radio, what is it all about? When you think about optimizing retirement income, that does not happen with a product. The financial communities, they want to tell you, for example, that a mutual fund or life insurance or real estate or annuities, those are the answers to personal retirement income. And I say no. In the words of one of my favorite comics who's gone, I say nay, nay. That is not true. None of these things by themselves will help you optimize your retirement income. You must have an integrated approach across your investments and across your income plan so that each of them work together to enhance the benefits of the other. Alone, they won't cut it. Because you've got to pay attention to that. Alone, a product like mutual fund or stocks, bonds, real estate investment trust, life insurance, annuities, whatever it might be, alone, those are just product decisions. And today, thanks to the death of private pensions and the devaluation of Social Security benefits over time, it is just undeniable when you look at adding in inflation and increased taxes over time that we are in a retirement income crisis. A retirement income crisis. Personal Pension Radio is focused on helping you pack your bags for both halves of the retirement journey. Both halves of the retirement journey, because it's not just one side, we get there and we're retired. It's a continuous journey up your mountain, down the mountain. And I want to help you build and protect wealth, but most importantly, to protect your lifestyle that goes with it today and generationally. So, before I go too much further, I always have to remember just a quick disclosure. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a CPA. I am a certified financial planner professional. However, my advice here in this disclosure is don't act on advice that you hear from financial advisors and financial entertainers on the radio or on a podcast or in a magazine. Meet with someone, a qualified financial advisor, someone who's going to take the time to get to know you, your specific situation. And for the record, I meet with folks in a variety of different places around the country that through technology, where we no longer have boundaries anymore. I can meet with folks in any state that I happen to be licensed in. I can meet with folks via GoToMeeting or Team Viewer, and we're essentially face-to-face having a conversation. But coming back to that, meet with someone who gets to know you before you act on or put something in motion. You've got to make sure that the advice is tailored to your situation, okay? So let's just jump right in today. Two sections I always like to cover. The first one is watch your step. Just for those of you who are new to the show, I get this from being a small town guy from Maine when I was a kid. You'd be out on the farm working on your summer job, and basically you better be watching where you're stepping. You better watch so you don't step in something that you don't want to bring home or that causes you to throw away your shoes, right? So watch your step. And this actually came from a conversation with a client, a question that a client had asked me regarding real estate, because they knew that my wife and I were in the process of doing stuff with our real estate holdings. And the question was, is it time to buy or sell real estate? Now, for the record, my first piece of advice when it comes to real estate is don't take my advice. Okay? I am not a real estate expert. My wife and I have been blessed to have some great success with real estate because we did take the advice that I give to clients of mine and friends, which is don't go it alone. Partner with an expert. Partner with someone that actually provides you the experience and that knowledge that you need to just really do well in real estate. Don't go it alone. If you think you are the master of your real estate empire domain and you've got 5 houses and you're the master, well, no, you're not. You've got to get connected with someone that perhaps has 50 or 100 doors, that has maybe 15, 20, 25 years of experience in the real estate in your area. Not real estate scattered at various different little pieces around the country. Real estate in your area is different than real estate in my area. So remember, I love real estate, but my advice is don't go it alone. Okay, so with that said, this question came from a client, is it time to buy or sell? So I want to reference an article that I saw as I was reading this recently in Bloomberg. And the headline says, and I'll have, by the way, links to this in the show notes. It says, pending sales of previously owned homes increase by 0.2%. Well, what does that mean? Well, basically, what it means is that the increase in pre-owned, also known as used houses, didn't go up as much as they thought. It actually followed a decline. It was really, they were hoping it would go up, the experts and such, and it didn't. It's kind of plateaued, is what this article is saying, is that pending sales have plateaued. Now, this is where some folks will get all excited. Oh, look, there you go. That's the answer. Well, you have to understand that when you read this article from Bloomberg, they are citing the National Association of Realtors. They're citing a U.S.-based study, an index, if you will, that is spread out across the country. That is not specific to your area. Now, this happens to be true here in Southern California. This is actually something that's happening in Southern California where things are kind of slowing down. We're getting sort of close to what people might consider to be the top of the market again. And here, the article from Bloomberg caught my attention because sales plateau. Okay, so let's keep going. Now, what else did I hear on the news? Not news. I heard an advertisement on a local radio station here in Southern California. And you might have heard this kind of an advertisement because it's a national lender. You might have heard this in your neighborhood. No income verification loans are back. they're back on the radio. Now, what got the world financially in trouble before the housing bubble burst back in 2007, 8, 9? Well, one of the things that got the housing world in trouble was no income verification loans, right? Where you had no income, no job, no paycheck, no problem, right? Just sign here and we'll give you a loan. You remember the stories of a bus driver. I remember the stories of a bus driver in Los Angeles bus driver in Los Angeles, excellent job, love them, fantastic. But listen to this, bus driver in Los Angeles actually getting a loan for a condo in Vegas that cost over $1 million. What? Did that actually happen? Yes. Am I saying that that's happening now? No, I'm not saying that. I'm just hopefully bringing this up to your attention to say, well, now we've got no income verification loans are back, okay? And we're hearing more and more about refi, and then refinancing loans and such. And then we see reports that say pending sales are starting to plateau. Well, if pending sales are starting to plateau on anything, whether it's retail whether it's real estate or stocks and bonds, well, if they're starting to plateau, maybe they have actually reached a top. Maybe they have actually started to reach closest to the highest value the market will bear. So as it relates to real estate, if you need a place to live, great. I mean, you're going to buy a house. Any time that you're going to buy a house is a good time to buy a house. If that's the place that you're going to live for the next 5 years, excellent. I'm going to suggest that as you look in your particular area, if you're thinking about buying real estate, buying real estate for an investment, all right, you really might want to stop and ask yourself, gosh, do you want to buy at this particular point in time? Because the market may be at a plateau getting ready for an adjustment. We've basically had free and easy loans out there, low interest rates, people buying houses like crazy, and the cycle could be coming again where real estate's ready to correct. So that goes to my point that I brought up earlier. Don't go it alone. Partner with someone. Oh, well, then, Kraig, if I partner with someone, then I have to share the profit. I have to share the profit from my real estate deal. Well, yeah, you do. You have to share the profit, but you could also have avoided a huge mistake. Okay? The mistake of buying something in the wrong place, the wrong location for the wrong price. So partner with an expert. My wife and I were blessed to have a good friend who happens to be one of those real estate experts, someone that when we went into buying real estate at the bottom of the real estate market after the recession, I did not, although I'm a certified financial planner professional and a chartered financial consultant, I took my own advice. I do not know real estate nearly as well as I know being a CFP in a variety of other areas. So I partnered with this friend who is just top-notch real estate expert, and it paid off. It paid off fantastically. And now at the top, what might be the top, I don't know. I feel like I'm comfortable close enough to the top that my wife and I decided to sell real estate and relocate, and we changed where we live, and it's all going to work out very nicely. I personally, someone asked me recently, well, does that mean you don't like real estate? Well, no, not at all. I'm just very much looking forward to the next time that real estate goes on sale. It's just not currently on sale. So real estate, when it comes back on sale again, I will probably get very excited. And guess what? I will do it again with a partner. I will not do it on my own. I will do it with a partner. So there's my watch your step advice section. And I would encourage you to get out there and do some of your own research in your specific neck of the woods. Talk to an expert. your area, you might still have great deals going on. Here in Southern California, not as many great deals anymore. Okay. Now, the next section I wanted to go through is I wanted to actually cover another item that was a big question that actually came up from several people as we are closing in on Christmas again. I'm kind of famous. Some people call me cheap. I prefer to call myself thrifty and efficient and economical. I am not one to pay retail. I call it the first rule of acquisition, to coin a little Star Trek lingo there. But the first rule of acquisition is buy it cheap. And you've heard me say that on this podcast a number of times. The most important rule with acquiring anything, if you're buying a house, if you're buying a car, if you're buying an investment, whatever it might be, first rule is buy it cheap. Absolutely. There was a great interview I listened to yesterday with someone just referencing Warren Buffett and referencing The Farm. You can go ahead and Google that, and Warren Buffett and The Farm. Warren Buffett purchased a huge farm that had been owned by the FDIC, that the banks, or the FDIC had taken it over from the banks. And when Warren Buffett purchased the farm, he followed his rule. You buy it on sale. You buy it cheap. And people thought, no, that's just crazy. Well, as it turns out, years later, that farm is hugely profitable because he put the right people on the farm after he bought it, and now has an enormously profitable business. Warren Buffett purchased real estate next to the university in New York. People thought he was crazy for buying this particular piece of real estate. And sure enough, he bought it cheap and got himself a phenomenal piece of real estate. So follow that one piece. The first rule of acquisition is buy it cheap. People are always chasing rate of return, and they're missing the best return of all. So many times we missed the best return of all is to save money on the acquisition up front. So I am a big, big proponent of never paying retail if I can avoid it. Now, don't get me wrong, I do pay retail, but I'm always want to find the deal because I do the math, I know the economics, and I want to share some of them with you because this is what I'm kind of known for with friends and clients. I am a bit of a shopper, but I'll explain why as we go through this, okay? So I'm going to start with this. Let me give you these examples and really think this through, and you might have this situation for you personally, okay? So we, of course, moving into one of our rental houses, which we have now taken over as our primary residence. So we need to have new appliances in the kitchen. Okay, so now, starting with the refrigerator. The refrigerator that I want is stainless steel, and it retails for about $2,500. You can get that refrigerator in multiple different company manufacturers, make a similar line, and they're all about $2,500. I had mine delivered yesterday for $520. So, yes, it's a $2,500 refrigerator. I bought it on Craigslist. They delivered it to the house for $520. It's a few years old, runs fine, had a couple of light scratches in the stainless steel that I can buff out easily. I saved $1,980. Now, that's the thing where most people stop. Okay, yeah, you saved $1,900. I look down the road. What does that mean to my retirement income? What does it mean to my retirement savings in the long run? Well, in the long run, if I get to keep that $1,980, if I get to keep that and earn a rate of return on it, let's say 7% over 25 years, okay, just hypothetical, that's $10,000 in retirement assets that are there for me and Amy, my wife, to live on. So that one purchase could put another $10,000 in my retirement assets when I retire. Okay, so let's keep going. The dishwasher. It's about a $1,900 retail. And again, there's multiple brand names and they're all about the same price, $1,900. I paid $650. $650 is a pretty substantial amount. That translates out to over $6,700 added back into my retirement assets. And then we finish with the range. So I get an oven. That's a $2,900 retail. I get it for $850. And that's $2,000 in savings, and that's $11,000 added back to my retirement. Okay? So if you look at it together, just buying the appliances, in my kitchen, that's $28,000 that could potentially be in my retirement income assets when I retire. Now, wait for it. What do I want to do with my retirement income assets? I want to draw income from them, right? I want to draw income. Well, if I draw income using the planning that I do with clients, I will draw income at let's say, an 8% rate. So let's say I draw income off my $28,657. Okay? Over my retirement years, that could turn into $57,000 of retirement income. $57,000 of retirement income because I saved money on just 3 appliances in my kitchen. That is huge. That's huge. Now, someone would say, well, what if that range breaks down? Fine, I'll go buy another one for $650 or $800, right? Even if I had to replace one of those appliances because it was in fact defective, and that, by the way, happened a few years back, a dishwasher in another house broke and I had to replace it, so what? I still paid less for my appliances than the retail price of one refrigerator. Okay, so Craigslist, that's where I got it. Yes, I do like Craigslist, although they spell it wrong. I do like Craigslist. How about the big one? The car. The car. Let's say that nowadays a car with a $45,000 retail sticker price. It's amazing that cars cost $45,000, or even a pickup truck could cost $45,000. Okay? So if you wait 2 or 3 years and you buy that car off lease for a 30% discount, remember, don't chase rate of return. Go get the rate of return right up front, 30%. And you buy that car for $13,000 less than retail, that's a $13,500 savings. Okay? So when you look at that, at retirement, that's a $73,000 chunk of money added back into your retirement income assets. Now, how about income on that? If you draw income under our planning, that's $150,000 of retirement income because I saved money buying a car. So now on to a simple one, right? So real simple. Even right down, and this is where I get my title as a cheapskate. Clothing, right? So I had someone suggest that I tailor my shirts, that I should go to Nordstrom, buy some new shirts, and have them tailored at Nordstrom. And I priced that out, like, well, $80 to $90 a shirt. And I don't think so. I couldn't do it. So I, of course, went back to my cheapskate roots, and I said, well, I wonder if I could buy really nice brand name shirts at Ross. Sure enough, I buy those same shirts at Ross, and I take them to a local tailor here near where I live, and 17 to $20 later, I save $630 on 10 shirts. So I get 10 tailored shirts, and I save somewhere around $630 to $650 on just buying shirts. That's not to mention how much I save buying pants and having them professionally tailored, right down to the clothing, folks. When you add that up, that could add $3,000 or $4,000 just in buying shirts. $3,000, $4,000 added to your retirement income assets when you get ready to retire. Okay? Now, here's a big one. This was really amazing to me, and this is maybe 1 in a million chance that this could happen. But I got to tell you, there are folks out there who they have this actually happen, right? And I think, no way. And I can't believe that people don't just take this extra step. So watch this or listen to this. You're not watching anything. What am I talking about? How about purchasing a small cabin cruiser yacht? Oh, Kraig, I'm never going to buy a yacht. Well, listen, there's folks who do this all the time. Now, I'm talking about a small one. I'm not talking about a big super yacht. So I actually met someone who mentioned that they were in the process of buying a cabin cruiser. I don't know, it's like 40, 50 feet long. It's going to be about $2.8 million. So about $2.8 million for a boat, okay? Now, just for the record, I have nothing against boat folks. I just subscribe to Warren Buffett's philosophy when it comes to boats. Warren Buffett says, I don't need a yacht. I have friends with boats, right? So I have friends with boats. If I need a yacht fix or a fishing boat fix, I have friends with boats. So go with me on this, because it's amazing to me that we don't teach this in school. We don't ever teach looking beyond the acquisition. Because remember, everybody says, what's the rate of return on that investment? Well, we miss the best rate of return possible sometimes, which is acquisition. So let's take this example. This is a cabin cruiser. It's about a $2.8 million retail. Now, that actually just kind of got me interested. So after I heard this person say that he was going to buy this boat, I went to the internet, the source of all information, and I actually Googled that particular boat. I put in, because I had written down what the model number was, and just the details, just randomly to see what this thing cost. That's where I found that it cost $2.8 million. Now, here's the fun part. About 1 or 2 lines below the result for where I found how much it costs, I also found that it was listed in a United States Marshal Service auction website. So the U.S. Marshals have a website where they auction off seized assets. So the U.S. Marshals will seize assets for a variety of different entities, and including the drug seizures, IRS seizures. There's all kinds of different things that they sell. Now, sure enough, I clicked on that link, and there pops up a listing for that particular boat, that cabin cruiser that this person I talked to recently was in the process of buying. They were getting ready to finish the sale or the purchase of that thing for $2.8 million. I found it on the U.S. Marshal Service website, and it was listed for sale, and it was in Florida. It was actually tied up in Florida, so you can have all your Miami Vice visions of like, oh, this is a drug seizure type thing. What was it? I don't know. I don't really care. I was curious, though, and I actually followed the auction. I followed the auction to see what that boat would sell for, because the boat, just so you know, by the way, was actually very new and it had very few hours on it. And all of the photographs of the boat, of course, it had many different pictures on the auction site. It looked to be in very good shape. It was a good-looking boat. The boat sold for $790,000. Yes, you heard that right. $2.8 million retail. That boat, a few years old, sold for $790,000. That's about a $2 million savings. Now, people would say, well, yeah, it could have bullet holes from a drug raid. Well, you know what? I added it back in just for the heck of it and said, well, what if you spent $250,000 in renovations and upgrades and fixing the motors and everything else? $250,000 you could easily spend on a cabin cruiser. That's $1.76 million net savings. And here's the thing. Everybody think about this. What is the legacy value? If you're well enough off to buy a $2.8 million boat, what's the legacy value of the money that you're about to dump into a hole in the water that will ultimately depreciate that much? The depreciation is enormous, and your family, your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, your favorite charities will never see that $2.8 million again, right? So if you had that $1.76 million still in your possession and you had any sense of a legacy, what would it look like 50 years later? 50 years later, had you purchased that boat on sale, upfront, discount, that could be a $20 million legacy in generations to come. That one purchase could turn into a $20 million legacy. That's incredible. Remember, the economics are the same, whether it's a bass boat or a cabin cruiser. It's the same. When you're out there getting ready to pay retail, again, I'm not saying don't pay retail. Remember the first rule of acquisition. Buy it cheap. I've purchased things retail, but I've gotten a great deal every chance I possibly could. Okay? So as you're out there thinking about this Christmas season coming up, think about that every chance you can. Grab your iPhone, grab your Droid phone, check the Craigslist app, check the eBay app, check the auction websites. Just double check. You never know what you might find. So as I wrap up here today, I want to give you some resources, just a couple, okay? A friend of mine had given me a book a number of years ago, and I always keep it and go through it now and then. She gave it to me, obviously for obvious reasons. It's a book by Mary Hunt. It's Everyday Cheapskates Greatest Tips. Everyday Cheapskates Greatest Tips. I'll have a link to it in the show notes, but you can find it on Amazon. You can actually, if you want to help us out here at the website, you can click on our link in the show notes, and we'll have that set up that way. So Everyday Cheapskates Greatest Tips by Mary Hunt and ClarkHoward.com. Clark Howard has always been just a great resource. If you've never listened to or read any of his material, Clark Howard is an excellent, excellent guy when it comes to just finding a good deal. He's an extremely well-off individual, but he is passionate about this particular topic, which is find the deal. Don't settle for paying retail. I mean, everything from travel tips to electronics to, Clark is just a great, great resource when it comes to finding a good deal. So that's going to wrap it up here for today's episode. When you're out there shopping, think of me, Cheapskate on your shoulder going, hey, are you going to pay retail for that? Did you check on that price there? Double check that. You might want to check it. Okay, because everything has an economic effect. It's a ripple effect that can translate into tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars over your retirement journey. And it's just so important. If you have questions, go to Personal Pension Radio, contact me there, and I look forward to actually coming back to the radio on time next time at Personal Pension Radio. Have a great one. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to the Personal Pension Radio Podcast. If you missed anything during the show, that's okay. We took the notes for you. Check the show notes for links, offers, and a full transcript. And don't forget to head over to personalpensionradio.com and download your free retirement income report. While you're there, we'd appreciate some iTunes love. Please leave us a fantastic rating on iTunes by going to personalpensionradio.com/iTunes. Thanks again for listening.